Board of Trustees, Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. If you could please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's going to be a few minutes.
Okay. Please let the record show that we are all present, April, and I did get announcement that our attorney is running a little behind, but she will be here. We're going to move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. I don't have anything to add or delete.
Move the approval of the agenda as submitted.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to move on to announcements and communications. I think Michelle probably has some announcements for
I
us.
do. We had a big election yesterday, an August primary, and we have 15,654 voters now. 6,692 people placed their vote yesterday in the township, so we are at 42.75% for this election. So. They did. Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you to all.
Great.
I appreciate it.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Okay, seeing no one, we're going to move on to call.
Good evening. My name's Steve Kennedy, Mayor Pro Tem for the Township Clerk, Michelle Cash, and the Lyon Township Trustees, Sean O'Neill, Lisa Blades, Robert Swain, and Christopher Enlow. I want to thank each of you for partnering with the city for the installation of those crosswalk signals at Marjorie Ann and Pontiac Trail. That project is a long time coming. It's underway and will be completed shortly. I also want to thank Ms. Leslie Sawada for her involvement and her team's involvement in providing the engineering oversight for the effort. And once that effort's completed, it will definitely allow the residents to safely cross Pontiac Trail to shop, to dine, attend church, and so forth. I truly hope that it is just the beginning of additional projects that we can work on together, because there's so much more that we can do working together for the residents in both our communities. So again, thank you very much. I can't thank you enough for making that happen after all these years. So thank you.
Councilman Kennedy, and believe me, the feelings are mutual. We know we needed that sidewalk, and it was great having the city throw in half of the funds for that, and it did work out very well, and we thank you also. And thanks for coming in and showing that to the board. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Just can't thank enough. And I know the kids down in the area, the adults, everybody, thanks you for your efforts.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Anyone else like to come on up?
Hi, my name is Mandy Harless. I'm super nervous. Okay.
Take it easy. We're good. Don't worry.
Don't be nervous.
I don't even know if I can do this, but
Okay, take your time.
I live at Kensington. I live at Kensington Park Apartments. I'm here because I think rental inspections need to be enforced. All the rental units to be assured of the health and safety, making sure buildings and rental homes are up to code. I've been living in my apartment with leaks, rats, mold, etc. crying to management since December 21. Today, when a building inspector stopped by after I called the health department, only now today, my apartment are asking to come over and do maintenance of my home. They've actually they're trying to strong arm evict me for non-payment only, and I'm just trying to exercise my tenants' rights. So I think rental inspections should be done on units, so people aren't having to live like in these types of situations. So, and that's
Okay.
it.
If you could leave your phone number with April here,
Okay.
and then Dave, we can follow that up. Okay?
I was the one that went over to her apartment today.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that. And
Yep.
okay,
Okay, thanks.
thank you. You did well. Okay, anyone else like to come on up to the microphone? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close the call to the public, and we're going to move on to reports. And first one up is the DDA. Amy?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'll start out with just a couple of updates here. And I'm going to steal a little bit of Dave's thunder with this first item. So I did some research on my own and found out that through June 30th, there has been over $31 million in construction value within the DDA boundaries. So we have a lot of building going on in there, a lot of improvements being made to existing buildings. Also, the Lyon Township DDA is working on a new website to utilize for our promotions arm. It's going to be under the name of funonthegrand.com, and I am in the process of building that right now. It should be live by the time we have our next meeting, so hopefully we can show you some examples of that. Oakland County Southwest Airport had reached out to me, and they wanted to make everybody aware that they are the new home for the Warbirds of Glory Museum. A private individual is updating one of their hangars and brought in some vintage airplanes in there. It's a home to Sandbar Mitchell B-25J. I admit I have no idea what that is, but that's what they told me. So I've seen some pictures, but they are going to be moving in some new items into that space and doing some updates, and the public is going to be welcome to that museum, and they'll be doing tours too. So we're very excited about that. We are going to be hosting our final Music on the Grand Summer Concert next week on the 10th. We'd love to see some of you guys out there. We've had really good participation with the township officials and staff in our office, which has been great to see. It is being sponsored by Civil Engineering Solutions. And we'll have Fire Up Grill Barbecue for the food truck, along with the Detroit Smoothie Company. We're going to have participation from the Learning Tree, the Lyon Township Library, V's School of Dance, Spun Sugar, and inflatables will be provided by Oakland County Parks and Recreation. We'll also have their big stage for our band that night too. And we're going to be having some pre-concert entertainment from the South Lyon Community Cardio Drumming Group. That'll be out there too, and they'll be doing a short performance during a band break. A few other items of interest. We have contacted Blake's, and they have agreed to donate a 25-foot Christmas tree for our Inspiration Park Lighting Up the Grand event this year. And we are working on a possible sponsor to decorate that tree for us. I sent an original notice to everybody, but I will be following up soon. The Crossings is looking at having their ribbon cutting event on September 7th. I'll have more information to follow on that. And I've also been in conversations with Zeiss about a ribbon cutting event for them that they're looking for possibly the second week of October. So I'll be following up with details as we get closer to that. Also a reminder that we are having a special joint meeting next Tuesday on the 9th at 6 p.m. in regards to PA 198. So I will send out a reminder to everybody on the board about that at the end of this week. And then lastly, special thanks to Trustee Swain, who put me in contact with SEMCOG. Last week, I was out touring some of the local businesses with some representatives for them, and we put together a shop, eat, local video. And I think Brian has that. He's going to play that for you. They already got it back for us. So I just wanted to show you what they put together, and we're going to be putting on our social media sites.
Ah, that is very cool.
So, yeah, I thought that came together really well. The representatives from SEMCOG were fantastic to work with, and I just want to say a special thank you to all the businesses that were involved: New Hudson Inn, Terracita's, Becker's, Sport Horse Saddlery, and Wholehearted Winery. They were more than accommodating. They fed everybody that was on the crew. We had multiple meals that day, which was fantastic. They said they had not been to a more welcoming community since they've been doing this program. So that was fantastic to hear. All the businesses were great supporting. So,
Oh, wonderful. That is so cool.
yep, and we're going to be sharing that. We started sharing it on some of our social media, and we're sending out copies to all the participating businesses to utilize too. And we definitely would like to put into our budget next year to be able to do some more promotional videos like that and include more businesses. So we're very excited about it.
Wow, sounds great, Amy. Thank you for all that. Any questions for Amy? By the way, you're doing a good job. Things are really moving well in the
Thank you.
downtown. And
It's been great to have so
something.
much support.
looks you're really doing a good job.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to fire. Chief?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Tomorrow, our roofing project will start for both stations, and they project that they will be able to do each station in 1 to 2 days. So we'll see how that goes. And again, thank you for approving that last month. A couple of recognitions I wanted to make tonight. One was to our Assistant Chief, Reg Madeline, who received national recognition as a Chief Fire Officer, or a CFO designation from the Center for Public Safety and Excellence. And this is received by demonstrating leadership, education, training, and just years of experience. And he was recognized by his peers in the around the country as a Chief Fire Officer designation. And I just wanted to acknowledge him here tonight in public. Also, here's his certificate that will be framed and
nice.
in his office, not mine. I also wanted to recognize. We also have 2 life-saving awards that we're going to present to 2 of our firefighters, firefighter Tom Arnold and firefighter Noah Kent, who on June 19th of this year, they responded to a call with a patient having difficulty, and when they arrived, CPR in progress was announced. The Station 2 crew, along with firefighters Arnold and Kent, worked the patient with Huron Valley Ambulance. They ended up getting a pulse back, and Engine 1 arrived. They assisted in packaging the patient and moving the patient from the house to the HVA rig. Firefighter Kent remained in the back of the rig and bagged the patient while firefighter Arnold drove to the hospital. The Station 1 crew took trucks back to Station 2 and remained in service for further calls. And this patient was in critical condition, but did end up in the hospital with a pulse. And so I would like to present, these are the life-saving awards that will be part of their uniform. They're a little too small for me to pin on them. But I would like to, firefighter Tom Arnold, where you go? And firefighter Noah Kent.
Great job, you guys. It's wonderful.
Wow,
And
fantastic.
I would like to add one thing. Can we change the lingo to package and bagged and all that stuff? Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Love having you here.
And my final announcement is another big moment, is that we have brought on somebody with nearly 30 years of experience, and I'd like to bring up Captain John Orzek, retired from Livonia Fire Department, and well-known throughout the area for his training, his experience, and now he's a member of our fire department, and I get the honor of pinning his badge
All
on him.
right.
Yay.
Welcome. Welcome to the township.
Yeah,
Good to
thank you. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great opportunity, and I want to thank all you for accepting me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And he's also a resident. So, okay, that concludes my report.
That was a good report.
Not bad tonight.
Wow. All right, we're going to move on to the sheriff. Sergeant Brown, come on up. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you, sir. Good evening, members of the Lyon Township Board, citizens of Lyon Township. I am Detective Sergeant Anthony Brown, assigned here at the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, Lyon Township Substation. Lieutenant Whitfield is currently out of town, and he asked me to stand in and provide the board with our monthly report. Number one, we will be participating and supporting in the 2022 Woodward Dream Cruise coming up, along with all the Oakland County Sheriff officers and law enforcement staff for the protection and the safety of the 1.5 million patrons and citizens that will be attending here shortly in the next couple of weeks. The event officially begins on Friday, August 19th and goes through Saturday, August 20th. Secondly, this past week,
Ooh, see what happens when you speak?
That's not the Dream Cruise. This past week, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office SWAT team utilized Atchison Park here in Lyon Township for tactical meetings and training while they supported several South End Oakland County law enforcement agencies in the execution of search warrants in the area. Thirdly, on August 7th, First Baptist Church of South Lyon, Pastor Ron Winkler invited our deputies to attend a 10:45 a.m. service prayer in blessing for furthering their protection, their safety, and thanksgiving for their public service. So we are very appreciative of that. And lastly, amongst the many traffic complaints, of course, with construction in our area, currently our Detective Bureau is working through 5 Child Protective Services complaints made within the last several weeks. These complaints involved physical or sexual abuse of children in our community, and these are ongoing criminal investigations involving minors, so I can't go any further on that, but just so you're aware of it. And lastly, we would like to thank the board and the citizens of Lyon Township for their continued steadfast support. And I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Sergeant. Any questions? Sergeant?
Thank you.
Great report. Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant. All right, we're going to move on. Planning Commission.
Okay, we had only one meeting in the month of July. Our meeting for July 25th was canceled. Usually we reserve that for the master plan, and Brian didn't have anything for us, so we decided to have a night off. But we did have a meeting on Monday, July 11th. We had 7 public hearings, which are on our agenda tonight, subjects, and all 7 were approved to come to the Township Board. We had, under old business, we had AP 21-64 Model Homes Text Amendment, and that was approved, and that we changed some language in there about model homes in communities, so you can't sell out of that mobile home or model home for another project. That model home should only be used for that subdivision and not the next one or one in another community. That was one of the big things. And actually, that was our meeting. That was it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All right, we're going to move on to CBA. Lise, anything?
We did not have a meeting in July, and that concludes my report.
Man, you are fast. I like that. Okay. Any questions for Lise? We're going to move on to the building department. Dave, anything for us?
So at the building department, we're still going very strong there with all the permits. The interest rate seems to have slowed down some of the housing, but with everything in the past going, we're going to stay busy for quite a while. Hopefully, bring down the prices in materials and stuff to slow it down, because I think that the prices have stayed high because it hadn't slowed down. I mean, why lower your price if you're still selling? So we're still going strong on that. And then, of course, the commercial, we have one new building that came in a couple weeks ago, another spec building, Line 8. And I believe the two spec buildings that are on Freedom Drive are real close, if not already signed contracts with some people. So those are getting filled. So as they're building the specs, they're going out as quick as they're coming in. And Magna, we just finished up with them, and we're very, very close to giving them a certificate of completion on their 90,000 square foot addition. And they're already talking about bumping that out another 90,000 square feet. So everybody wants to work in Lyon Township, so they're coming. So that's about it. That's all I got.
Any questions?
No.
Anybody? All right, moving on. Well, in the water department, we have started putting water into the reactors. We are chlorinating them. I'm thinking before the next meeting, it should be live. We're pumping a lot of water to waste right now. We're checking bacteria. We're doing a lot of sampling right now, but the reactors are up and filling. They have sand in them. We have chemical in the tanks. It's the closest we've ever been to soft water as long as I've been here. Believe me, it has been a big one for me. But we are getting close. Yeah, but they're really coming along, and I just keep encouraging everyone to please go with me over there and look at. You will not believe the softening plant. You'll look in there, and there's so much stuff in there. It's insane, but it's very cool. And these reactors, there's 3 of them in the first house. There's 3 reactors. It only takes 1 reactor to do the softening for the township. The second reactor is a reactor that'll kick in if it needs it, and the third reactor is totally redundancy. So when we get the first one online, we're thinking that this winter, we can probably take South Hill down while we're building that plant, and we can run the township on totally soft water through the Woodland plant. And we got a meeting coming up for that. So all the pipe structure, that's hundreds of miles of pipe structure, the 4 million gallons that we have sitting on the surface, plus the 600,000 gallons of water that we have in the treatment plants, it's going to take a while to get all that water turned around and softened. So once this reactor goes on, we're still looking at a while before it becomes through the whole entire system. But we're closer now than we've ever been, and it is very, very cool. The plant is really nice. It's really cool. But any questions about the plant? The water is spectacular quality right now. I can't imagine once we get this turned on how great it's going to be. I've got people calling me going, well, I'm going to buy 1 more bag of salt. And I don't want to carry more than that 1 bag down there. Now, could you tell him? Okay.
John, I heard you were telling residents you would personally carry the salt to
I was saying, Sean O'Neill said he would personally come.
I've got a whole list of people who I have to give that to you. So.
But everybody is understanding. This is a big project, and it's a lot of work. And I've been working like a dog on this thing, and it's really coming together. So I'm excited about it. But, all right. So that concludes our reports. You want to talk about the water main down Pontiac Trail at all?
Well, it's in service, yep.
Well, I mean, that's cool. That's why I
Yep,
say
so
maybe you want to
another
report on
project,
that.
Yep, the Pontiac Trail water main, Pontiac Trail South water main. Not very creative with the naming, but it extends the water main, as you know, to your limit, the city township limit, and that was put into service last week. So now we're just doing restoration and final punch list items, and it will be available for your residents and business owners to connect. So,
I don't know if you want to talk about the project at Tanglewood at all and how it's coming along. It looks like it's going along pretty well.
yep, and the Tanglewood Road paving, we
coming
are
along.
probably midway through what we're calling the first phase. We had 6 total phases, and then we turned them, we're doing 2 at a time to try to get the entire project completed. So it's always bumpy when you first start a project, but now they're starting to roll, which is good. And communicating with the residents and the HOA, and everything's going pretty smooth, considering it's a pretty significant project. So
We got a lot of good things going in the township. We really do. And it's pretty exciting. Okay, well, we're going to move on. Unfinished business, we have none, so we're going to move on to new business. The first one is the approval of the Pumpkin Fest Parade route. We do this every year, and I think this is an easy one. Just closing the road.
Yeah, I will move the approval of the request by the parade committee to close Pontiac Trail on Saturday, September 24th from approximately 10 a.m. to approximately 11:30 a.m. for the Pumpkin Fest Parade.
I'll support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to move on to the consideration resolution approving the submission of bond proposition to the electors for the library millage. Come on up.
That's me. Amy Deeds, Library Township Trustee. I just want to quickly say, on behalf of the Library Board, we just wanted to thank you, let all of you know how much we really appreciate you working on this collaborative project with us. This potential new library and plans for a future park, I think, will definitely benefit everybody in the community. And by approving the bond language tonight for the November 8th ballot would really allow us to start moving forward, getting the word out, educating the public, and let them know how a new facility can really make a big difference, give us a gathering space, and be an asset to everybody in the township. And if you have any questions, Eric McLaughlin, the bond lawyer, is here. He can answer anything you have. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right, then a motion would be in order.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-22, approving the submission of bond proposition to electors for the library.
I'll support.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Can I just make a comment?
Sure, absolutely.
I'm really happy, Holly, with what the millage rate is going to be. I just wanted to mention that to the public. It should be around, like it says, 4.677, and that's wonderful. And then I noticed yesterday that all the millages that were up in Oakland County, all were passed. Library, police, fire, extra millages, and I thought, oh, maybe that's such a good sign for us. Anyways, I wanted to mention that, so I was so pleased at the dollar amount, so I think it's doable for residents.
absolutely.
Anyways.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Well, thank you, and I think everybody has worked really hard, and it's all good. All right, we're going to move on. This is this one got a little bit of discussion after the fact, so we're going to go ahead and have a discussion about it. This is a consideration of resolution approving the fire department dedicated millage proposal. And Ken, do you want to come up and just explain what this is all about? I know you've had some conversations, and I'd like to go ahead and talk about it.
Sure. We passed our first millage, or the residents passed their first millage for the fire department back in 2014, and it's a 10-year millage, and we've made a lot of great improvements. That was a 1.58 mils with a portion going to the DDA, and the growth has been tremendous throughout the township, commercial, residential, and we started looking at trying to to meet the demands, and largely our equipment needs have been met. And I should have mentioned in the report that Chief Madline and I did go down to Ohio to look at ladder 24, which may be delivered in the next week. And so again, that's all part of the millage funding. But having numerous conversations with board members, the one thing I was looking at moving forward was to have an increase in our millage to focus on staffing primarily, and then just with our aging infrastructure buildings, and just trying to get up to the next level so that we are staffing both stations. Consideration of future growth. We've had the meetings here lately where a third station has been mentioned, sometimes even a fourth. But after further discussions with board members, I think more discussion probably should occur. And we do have a window, whether it takes the form of a budget workshop, that we can get together and make sure that everybody is comfortable with what's being requested and kind of what the goal, the vision is for the fire department, for the community, and that the voters feel secure knowing what they're getting. And that would be my proposal instead of a vote tonight. But if there's a discussion that needs to occur, that's fine. I believe it's August 16th by 4 p.m. is the cutoff for having this as a filed or.
Yes, submitted to the Oakland County Clerk as well as.
Okay.
Michelle.
So that gives us, a few days and, all of next week, and that's just, and I'll take questions or.
Well, I would like to say just one thing, and it's, we have to get some more millage to run the department. And I don't know how much it is, and maybe that's the talk that we have to have. But we've got a lot of conversation where everybody's saying, let's build a third station. Well, we are really flush in our budget running 2 stations, so I'm not really sure how we would put a third station on and man that. So I think we have to get our operating millage first passed before we can even think about a third fire station, because we're having trouble manning the 2 we have. Is that fact, or is it?
That is. I mean, we're still working on the staffing issues, and that's it's been pointed out here before that as nice as all of the equipment, the ladder trucks and everything like that, if we need to have people to operate them, and it's the same with the station. And so, it's something we're dealing with as far as, there are still times where we have a station that is not operating because of manpower issues, but it's much improved than it used to be. So I'm not, crying here. It's just, we're trying to we still need more staffing to get to the next station, to man the apparatus, and just making sure we have that full 24/7 response in a timely manner as we've been doing that study as well.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
Ken and I have been talking about it for quite a long time, to be honest with you. And I know that as administrators, Michelle and I and John, you give us the job to figure out what we need to bring to you. And Ken and I, and we worked with Debbie, and we went over his budget. And last year, they have $400,000 in their fund balance. They added $100,000 last year. So that's $500,000 in their fund balance. But with everything that Ken needs for the fire department, it's still not enough. And I don't know, I think that your fire department is an essential service, and I'm not sure that our residents would not want to pay to have their homes safe, or and then we had a big discussion about HVA too. And I know Ken wants to check into that further for our residents. I know Livingston County has to pay that on their taxes. It's like $1.5 million they pay to have that. But anyways, probably on our part, we didn't educate you guys soon enough on this. But when we realized that there's a huge millage coming up in 2024 for the police department, a renewal, and they're over 3 mills. we thought that might be maybe too much. So we brought what we thought we should bring, and that's the bottom line.
And the other
They
thing-
need money. They get rolled back by Headley every year, just like the library or the general fund. But when you actually need money, you got to come to the board. So we have to go to the public to ask for it. And we took all of Ken's, items, and I don't think they're wish lists. I think they're needed lists. And we thought it was time to bring it, and we went, oh my gosh, we should probably bring it now. It's totally up to the board, not just us, but it's up to this board. But
Well, I'll tell you the other thing that is fact is the general fund. We've been very, very conservative, and the general fund is growing. Okay, we have quite a amount of money in the general fund, but we're giving $1.5 million to a fire truck. We've pledged $2.5 million.
you couldn't afford.
Right.
I mean,
Well, it was free money from the federal government.
Well,
so
if-
it really
but that's
worked out.
Well,
we have
did,
drains
but-
to clean.
but
We have a lot of stuff
we
to
have
do.
tons of things. We have a park that we get complaints on in the back. I mean, we could spend all our money.
And I'm not saying
on
that we're against
things
that.
we need.
What I'm saying is that when you start tagging $1.5 million, $2.5 million, we want to put some money into a park. That's
Yeah.
another couple million. That big number in the general fund goes away very quickly. And then if anything happens to the fire department where they need more money, we wouldn't be able to give it to them. We're trying to do both things with one. This whole thing here, maybe that number's not the right number. I don't know. You guys have worked hard on that.
We have.
And I don't know if that's the right number or it isn't, but I do know that they need more money to operate because they will be out of money if we keep funding more fire people and
Personnel
and it's just going to go.
and all the things that he needs or they need.
Well,
That's
you
all.
went
We're just-
when we got the first millage on. It was what did we have in a population? 11,000.
Yeah, for some reason, it's
We got
just
the
around
first millage
10,000.
passed, and now we're cresting 24,000. So he's actually
Doubled.
and we're using the same fire department tools and the same personnel. And how many people have you added for the 24,000 residents? We have added really no extra personnel. I mean, we've put the full-timers on, but when you count the paid-on calls and the full-time, we're probably close to where we were.
Yeah, the number is probably a little bit lower just because everybody is struggling with paid-on calls, and it's not just a Lyon Township problem.
No.
But so the full-time, at least, back before the millage in 14, we weren't even covering 24 hours. We had that 5 to 9 period where there was no station coverage, and that thankfully is a thing of the past. But, our coverage hours are greater than they were back then. It's just, the numbers are probably, as far as staffing, are about the same.
Yeah, and the other thing that's going to be coming out of the general fund, just so everybody knows here really quick, is we're putting a lot of sidewalks through the township. We're putting sidewalks everywhere, and we're going down roads that a lot of subdivisions, they border other subdivisions, which falls on us to maintain them. So we have to hire a full maintenance crew that's going to have to walk our sidewalks, going to have to clean. I mean, that's going to be on us, and that's another deal coming out of the general fund that we're going to have to talk about. That's up to
budget.
us. There's a lot of things. There's parks that we want to build. There's a lot of things we want to do that's going to be really good stuff for the township. And I think the building, the fire station and all that, that's all good, but I think we've got to man what we have first. And I'll shut up. Go ahead.
John, let me just say that, when this fire millage was first passed in 2014, we weren't doing nearly the things that we're doing now. This is a conscious decision of not only this board, but of the previous board to go with, full-time staffing, because that's what the residents expect. That's how we want to protect our citizenry. And I think it's no secret, and that it's obviously not a secret that it costs more money. So we've watched, to Patty's point, the surplus shrink. I think there's
Yes.
$25,000 in that fund at the end of this year projected.
That's-
$25,000.
that's
Can't even
right.
buy half of a pickup truck. But it's not because the money has been thrown in directions without thought. It's because we've evolved as a department and as a community. And so I think we've all approved these budgets that grow every year as the fund balance shrinks, and so we're all a part of this. And I will tell you that I'd love the opportunity to have a workshop and have more in-depth discussion, but as I sit here, I'll tell you that I don't think that we have enough revenue coming in with that old millage to sustain what we've worked toward, what you have built, what we've all built working together, and I think what the residents want. Obviously, if it goes on their ballot, they'll tell us what they want, and we'll have to, react accordingly. But all the feedback I get is positive. So, yeah, I agree. It's just, what is that number for me? It was 1.58 mils. It's probably 1.5 or 1.47 mils.
No, they're down to 1.48.
Right, and that's something
so
that
that's
every community in the state has to face and deal with, and it just sort of kind of is what it is. So, and I appreciate doing it in advance. So, if this is successful in November and it moves ahead, it's successful in November, people aren't going to pay both next year. They would pay the new replacement millage, and the other one would fall away. The one thing I had, just jumping ahead because I don't want to get into all my specifics if we're not going to necessarily dive in today, was the wording. And I want to compare it to the library bond proposition. I know a library bond proposition to retire debt is different than an operating millage, but what the fire department millage has in it, which I think, to me, I'd like to see maybe altered. And library millage doesn't have it, so our bond proposition doesn't have it. But the last sentence in the millage proposal says the amount that will be provided in the first year of collection, of which a portion will be dispersed to the Charter Township of Lyon Downtown Development Authority. I don't like the way that's worded. I would like to say by law or by statute or by act, because it looks like, I'm just going to say, it looks like it's written like we're going to take this money and send it to the DDA.
Yeah.
That's not what we're doing. That's just a decision that was made decades ago, and that's where all millage dollars, that's what happens to all millage dollars. So is there a way for us to lawfully and legally and clearly reword that so the residents know that it's not that we're making the decision to send the money there, that decision was made long ago? Because I can just foresee people coming in here or calling and saying, this is confusing, what are you doing with these millage dollars? Why doesn't every single penny that's collected go to the fire department? And not that we can explain the whole DDA concept in a ballot proposition, but I think it could be altered to say something.
I think this was how our millage read when we did it on the
I just don't like
2014, but I'm sure we can change
will
that.
Be dispersed to the Lyon Township DDA as required by law, or as required by statute, or something like that. So that was the only thing I had. But I look for, I appreciate the time that you have spent sending me things and talking to me about questions that I had, Chief, and it's helping me kind of get a better understanding of this and kind of up to speed. And I will speak for myself, but I think this whole board is super supportive of where we're at and where we're going. It's just a matter of exactly what that looks like and the exact number that we send to the residents. I don't want to ask for more than we need. I want to ask for what we need, because I don't want to sell ourselves short and not be able to provide what we tell them the residents we're going to provide, or perform the duties and the services that we promise them that we will. So it's just kind of trying to find that magic number.
Right.
Okay, well,
It's good.
that's fine with me.
Oh, Debbie
And-
wants to talk.
Go ahead, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Deb Walling, and I really apologize for being late.
You're fine.
Traffic, the roads were horrible getting here. But anyway.
Quicker to take a boat.
Yes, it was. Well, and I didn't expect 96 to be flooded out in places. That's crazy out there. But anyway, be that as it may, thank you very much for that comment. And, it is not a problem. In fact, the phrase that I added was exactly the one you said, as required by law. Because it is required by law that we say a portion will be dispersed to the DDA. So we had to have that in the ballot question. And
We can reword it.
that change could be made immediately.
And just to be clarified, the library is able to opt out of that. So that's why that is not in your millage proposal, because you're not caught by that statute. And so just to make that very clear,
Yeah, and
the library has the ability to opt out of the DDA.
Well, and I would think it would be really odd for the DDA to capture bond revenues, a millage that is assessed for bond, retirement of bond debt anyway. That would be kind of odd. So
Yep.
it shouldn't.
Yep.
It shouldn't. All it's going to do is prolong the retiring of that debt. So.
Yep.
Thank you. That's all I had, John.
Well, I'm thinking that if this board wants to put together a special workshop, and we have till what? You said August
16th at 4 p.m.
So that really means the 15th then, right? Because
to get it on to
you have to do something
Well, he
by
might,
the
he might have to
15th.
drive it up, but
Right.
Lights and sirens. Get it there quick.
So what do we do with this? Table it till the 16th?
well, no, you can't have a meeting on the 16th.
At noon.
At noon.
We should pick a,
High noon.
we should pick a date.
Well, John, I guess, do we have to do this on this?
Do we have to what?
Do we have to do this by the 16th, I guess?
Well,
you know,
in order to
and-
get it onto the ballot, we do.
But if the millage doesn't even expire, I mean, they're funded through '24.
They don't have enough money. They're not going to have enough money for the next 2 years. So this is how it's going to work. So we collect, okay, so I'll roll the millage in December 1st. That millage money that we collect in 2023 will be for the 2023 budget. Then I will roll the millage on December 23rd, and that will be for the 2024. So if you wait till, this is just my opinion, I think the public has to have, it should be either on the or on the general election, in the presidential, or the governors or the presidential, because that's when most people come out to vote. Do you see what low turnout we had? It was terrible, really. I mean, I know Michelle said it was like
I know, it's
46% or 42.
Yeah.
and then those 42% are making decisions for your entire township. I think what's fair to the public is for it to be on one of those two. So either you forego this election coming up, and you wait till the 11th hour, because that will be November. Well, I'm not sure what's it. Yeah, 2024. If nothing passes for them and they can't get it passed, they have no money coming in. Zero. Not a penny. So, and then between now and then, you can either go, you'll have to create a special election, which Michelle assured us it's going to be about $60,000.
But we also have, like, the original millage was done in August of 2014, and same with the police. The police and fire went at the same time, and they're on the same schedule, so if the police are going as well, you know, I guess, you know, I don't know, in the defense of, like, at least me or the trustees, but this literally came in front of us 2 days ago. Monday night is when the dollars came out, and, you know, that's a lot. This would be, if I'm not mistaken, the largest tax increase that we would be asking the residents to approve. And we've had 2 days and maybe a work session. So I appreciate the work session that we can go through this, but I don't know. For me, it's an extreme time crunch. And Ken, I talked to you, and you know, this is a huge decision. And obviously, I have, and this board's always supported you. This is a very hard conversation for me to have to you, because I don't want to screw you guys over or anything. I want you guys to be funded. I want it to be all done, but this is tough. We need to figure this out. And like I said to you, I'd be more than happy to help sit in, I don't know, you know, to try and
Just so
get
it's
this to a doable number.
Sorry about that. I don't take any constructive criticism or discussion. I don't take it negatively. I think they're discussions that we need to have. And honestly, when we passed this in 14, I really looked at it as I don't want to say coasting through. A renewal is much easier to get in 24. But I think I have to accept that it's not going to be that easy, that we do need to we're seeing it now as far as just the growth and the staffing and equipment, that it's not going to get us by as just a renewal. And again, waiting till the 11th hour is not my whatever preferred way of going, and knowing that next year is not really an option. Even putting that before the voters, or spending that money in an off-election year. That's why I would like to at least have further discussion, because our budget is what it is. I mean, as far as it's not overly complicated, and we can kind of see, when we add personnel, how we can, and again, apologies on the timeliness, but it was kind of trying to make sure that we were going to have all the legal language and that we were going to have the time frame to be able to put it on the November ballot. That would be my preferred time, as long as we get together and can hash it out, and any concerns that the board has, and asking the tough questions, and it's on me and our department to demonstrate, the need. But I do not take our conversations as anything as anti-fire or anything like that. It's stewards of the public, and I appreciate that.
Okay, well, we just got to figure out where we want to go. And anyone have any? Robert, you've been quiet.
Looking at the calendar here, it looks like the ZBA meeting for the 15th was canceled, so that could be a possible night if we did want to have a workshop.
Not a bad idea.
That said, I could be wrong, but I assume the rest of our agenda isn't going to take a terribly long amount of time tonight, so I don't mind having some of the discussion now either, but I understand the logic of, you want to go in an election where a lot of people are going to be involved, and that you don't want to be caught with being turned down and then having a year where we basically then have to make up everything from the general fund if we want to continue providing the level of service we have. But yeah, I would prefer to have a little more discussion and look at some of it, and not to do this now, but just making sure that number is something that the residents can see solid reasoning and support that it's the right amount.
Yeah, and I think the chief can definitely back that up, but I'm not going to speak for
I
him.
think we should have it next week, if we can all fit it in. And the reason why is, if we have it next week and there's still concerns and or questions that we have to gather any more information, we would need that time to do that, to provide for you guys too. But we preach to the library, have it on a major, and then when we looked, we're like, oh my gosh, we can't wait. And then, we had checked with Michelle, are there any other elections coming?
That was going to be my other question, is there anything that we're expecting to come between now and 24?
Just never know.
Okay.
Not for us.
Not for us, anyhow.
There might be the school millage, but not ours.
Yeah, they've been pretty good about sticking to the even years.
Okay.
So anyways, and we thought this might be a good time. And we've been talking about it so much. We've been trying to do the library, and we want to do the fire. So I don't know. We tell everybody, if you need something, you got to tell us. And when we sat down with Ken and we started looking at everything, we were going, holy mackerel.
So, go ahead, Lee. Go ahead.
I've talked with Ken, and, when he had initially, quite a while ago, well, not quite a while ago, but maybe 3 weeks ago or so, before the email to us with the information, I had thought, oh yeah, 3 mills, that seems right, because I had in my head that was going to encapsulate having a new station. Now, I don't know where we are on this, so I feel like that's the type of information that, if I don't know what the plan is, and the board may not know what the plan is, then I can't expect that the public would know what the plan is. Is that amount to do or to only have the staffing, or so I feel like that a workshop is a significant help to us, for all of us to kind of understand, what is it that is our overall plan? Do we have a cost analysis of, this is what it's going to cost for everything with operations and staffing and, materials and vehicles, if it's just 2 stations? And then do we have another breakdown of, this is if we have to do land acquisition, cost of a 3rd station, and staff that third station and then have vehicles for that third station, then that's what the breakdown is. And I think that's the kind of information that I would want to see, because right now, does that 3 mills include a third station or not? And I don't think that anybody knows that right now. So that's, as far as the amount, I don't know if that's the right amount, because I don't really know what it is, what's the plan? Because I just, and that's my fault that I made the assumption that, oh yeah, well, that would be with a third station. We talked about that.
The station would be a bond. This is a millage. This is to operate.
Right.
Yeah,
So
there's no station in
But
it.
then, if there is a third station,
Well,
my point would be, is if there's a third station, then that amount would have to actually provide the vehicles for the third station and the Lucas machines for the
And
third
that's kind of
station.
what it is. It's
But
to
that's-
operate it that way.
But I don't know, is there going to be a third station?
Well, that's why I'm saying, if we want to have a workshop, I mean, that's fine with me. I have no problem with that.
So those are the questions that I would
Which
have.
is fine.
Because
Yeah, I agree.
I made an assumption. And then I guess as always, put my English teacher hat on and take a look at the language itself. I would say that, in the very first whereas, it says, the board has been presented with a report from the fire chief, which we have, and then from the township supervisor. So I don't know that there's been an official report.
Yeah.
So I would have a problem with that part of the language. And then...
Well, we're not going to approve this tonight.
Right, but I figured I don't want to tell him that at the workshop, and then he's scrambling tonight.
But I think you could email him all that stuff. You could work as an email, and we could get that all together, and, right?
Yeah, I would encourage, the questions
I mean,
that
everyone's
I
been
can,
calling the chief straight up, and that's okay.
yeah,
You
that I
know?
can research.
The
You
report.
know what I mean? You
All
could
right.
do that.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just saying
Well,
that you could go ahead and do that. I mean, I
Well,
don't
I
think
don't
we're
wanna
going
just
to
have
approve
that-
anything tonight.
I mean, that's my opinion of what I would like to see, but that's not necessarily what maybe everybody would want to see. So if I tell him, like, hey, I think we should do this, and then he does it, then 6 people
We all
at the
agree.
workshop say, well, we don't like that.
That's okay, though.
So,
He
okay.
can make that determination if you guys email him or call him or, right?
Can we pick a date?
Well, is everyone on board to do this? Because we need to have that, too. Are you guys on board to have this meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's go ahead and put a date together, and then we'll go ahead and start the process.
You are doing that PA 198 on Tuesday before our DDA meeting. I don't know if that would be convenient for you to just extend that night or
But
not.
you were talking about something, oh, yeah, that's next week, so.
That's Tuesday at 6.
Would anybody be up for that? or-
You're having a DDA meeting though right after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right
So that
after,
wouldn't-
so it would almost have to,
That wouldn't work.
Well,
I
it's just a
would
workshop.
prefer
We could-
later. I've
I mean, we could leave
currently
the doors open
been
and be in a
scheduled
big
to be out of
conference
town
room.
Monday through Wednesday next week.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
You're where, Robert? I'm sorry?
Out of town Monday through Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what about Thursday? What about the 11th?
Thursday?
That's
I'll go.
I believe I could do it on Thursday as well.
So we're thinking maybe Thursday,
The
the
11th.
11th? What time?
I have a client board meeting.
What time's your meeting?
Well, it's at 7, but it would be, I don't know if I have to attend.
What if we did it earlier?
Yeah, you want to do it
Like
early?
at 5, we
I
could
don't
get
know.
pizza or
Robert,
something.
can you do it earlier?
Andy's giving
I'm
us pizza?
flexible
Yeah.
on any of the
Thursday?
times.
Could everybody meet at 5 and then we'll just get pizza
Yes.
on the 11th? Is that okay?
Will that
Chris,
work for
can
you?
you?
Yeah.
Because then
it'll
at
be
least
close
if you
enough.
have to go, you get all your stuff out before you go.
Okay, so we'll call it Thursday,
Mhm.
the 11th
We'll
at
give you
5?
numbers.
Okay.
So you can see.
Okay, do we have to do anything with that? Or just move on?
I don't think we have to make a
Table,
motion.
We don't have to make a motion for anything here,
the
do we?
table, this?
Just table it?
Since it's on your agenda.
Okay.
And-
Somebody want to make that?
Well, the other last comment I had about this too is to, for all the stuff that was presented at, over email, but like if this is going to end up coming as a millage ask, I want to make sure that the stuff's in the packet so the public can actually see it.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the dollar
Yeah.
amounts and stuff,
Sure.
none of that's in the packet.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's not a secret. It won't be a secret, so that's,
Well, it's not a secret. We
it's
don't-
not a secret. That's, yeah, it was,
We have nothing to hide.
it's, I honestly, like I said, I want it to go before the voters, and if it's good, they'll support it. If it's not, they won't. So.
And I didn't mean that as like we're trying to hide anything. I know we're not, but the optics of it, if it's not in the packet,
Sure.
People are.
Agreed.
Okay. Somebody want to make that motion?
I'll
To table?
I'll make a motion to table the consideration of the resolution number 2022-23, approving fire department dedicated millage proposal.
Is that until the 11th of the
Till the
month?
11th, August 11th.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Thank you.
Table it. Okay, we're going to move on to this big paragraph full of amendments and housekeeping things. And other than going ahead and reading through all these, Brian has prepared a summary, and I'm going to turn it over to Brian to kind of explain these one by one to everyone. And if you have any questions, Brian's been working these out, so he could answer them. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
All right, Brian,
Yeah.
there's 7 of them, so go ahead.
Thank you, John.
Take it
and
over.
Feel free to interrupt. It's not as scary as the big paragraph looks like, I promise you. A lot of these are cleanup items. And several of them are changes that have been in discussion and been needed for quite some time, and we'll continue to do this as we move forward, trying to make progress on cleaning up the ordinance, so you'll see more big, long paragraphs coming towards you in the future. But you have a memo in your packet dated July 26th. I've summarized the changes that we're talking about tonight, and I apologize, the order of my bullets in that memo don't match the actual ordinance, but I'm going to go through the memo real quick. We are making an update to the accessory building sizes. If you recall, a couple years ago, we changed the formula so that it was easier for the residents to read, and unfortunately, in doing that formula change, we had a rounding error that inadvertently made the accessory building sizes smaller that people are allowed to have, which is the opposite of what we've talked about at any point in time. So we're proposing to correct that ordinance, allow for up to 2.5% of lot coverage is the maximum amount of accessory detached buildings that you can have on your property. The next change is a clarification. All of our parking sizes, parking space sizes, are approximately 9 feet wide, with only one exception. Parallel parking spaces are a little bit more narrow. But it's been questioned by several site designers whether or not that minimum parking space size applies to ADA spaces, which the federal government only requires to be 8 feet, and so 8.5 feet. And so we want to clarify in our schedule of regulations for parking that all spaces comply with our 9-foot width. It doesn't make sense to us from a staff level and at the Planning Commission level to have smaller spaces for ADA parking than we have for our standard parking spaces. Next item is removing the optional conceptual plan review at the Planning Commission. This is an item that the current ordinance allows for somebody to request a concept review that doesn't get reviewed in advance by myself or the attorney or Leslie's group. It just goes to the Planning Commission for feedback from the applicants. My personal view is in the past few months we've had people take advantage of that and perhaps put the Planning Commission in a bad spot in terms of asking for opinions. Also, I feel that the Planning Commission at these conceptual reviews doesn't have the benefit of public feedback in the case of special land uses where a public hearing would be involved. They may not have all of the specifics on the site plan that really will dictate the final product and what they should be considering. It just doesn't serve our Planning Commission. It doesn't serve the applicants, whether they like it or not. They're not getting feedback on a finished plan, so it's our intention here to remove that option. And then if staff still needs the feedback of the Planning Commission, we'll put that on an agenda for the Planning Commission to consider. Our next item is updating the roads ordinance to match private road ordinances for the road length. Several years ago, we amended the ordinance to allow for private roads, if you recall, and we allow private roads that are paved to be up to 1,500 feet in length. We are proposing to make some modifications here that would bring all cul-de-sacs up to that standard as well. So all of our cul-de-sacs, whether it's an industrial site condominium or a commercial site condo, could then utilize a 1,500-foot long cul-de-sac. This has been one of those things where every time we go to the county has no problem. They actually don't know where our existing 660-foot length standard came from. So whenever we have those conversations with them, they tend to waive that length requirement. And so this makes a lot of sense to us and provides developers a bit more flexibility and can perhaps encourage some creative design.
Brian?
Yes, sir.
I can enlighten you on why it's 660 feet.
Please.
If you want me to nerd out a little.
I'm fine with that.
There's a couple reasons, because I actually, when this came up years ago, I did some research on it, and like the length of a normal city block is 660 feet. That's, I think, where it may have started. And it's about, it's also pretty close to the maximum dead end for a water main for a hydrant, a typical 8-inch water line for a hydrant. And then 600 feet is from the International Fire Code for hose lays to help for fire coverage to assist with, fighting fires. And then I can't confirm this last one, but I was told that school buses wouldn't drive down cul-de-sacs, and so there's something in like kids walking to school that for elementary school kids 600 feet was supposed to be the maximum distance. So
interesting. Okay. Well,
those are some of the reasons that I found out over the years, because I
sure.
Not sure on that last one though.
Okay, well, thank you for the background.
For what it's worth.
They're interesting. They have not come up as barriers in any of our longer road lengths that have come before the township yet. So I suppose if those items come up, the Planning Commission and the board always have the option to require a shorter road if it's public safety or a health issue or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I think with like you mentioned, industrial roads where you're not going to have kids walking to school or whatever, and typically those will have looped water mains or something too. So I think that's probably why those things can be avoided.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, good deal. Our next bullet point is increasing the maximum industrial building height, and we are proposing to do 10 feet in both our I-1 and I-2 districts. So the maximum height would be 55 feet in I-2 and 50 feet in I-1. And that includes any parapet walls, so that's the maximum height of any portion of the structure. But in conversations with our more progressive industrial builders, the current height for industrial buildings in the township is becoming a barrier for certain industries to come in and utilize these structures, especially spec buildings. And so we did a bit of research, looked at surrounding communities, and found that even with these proposed height increases for our industrial buildings, we were still going to be about middle of the pack for the height, but it more than exceeds what our builders anticipate needing for building heights. The other piece to this that is important is we worked with the fire department to make sure that all of the equipment that we have available to us to fight fires can serve these increased building heights, so we have no concerns there. The next bullet point is to clarify lot coverage calculations. We had a site plan come in recently semi-recently for a non-residential, for a religious institution in a residential district, and there is some room for interpretation in the definitions of how lot coverage was calculated, and so we're simply clarifying that in any residential district, the only things that are counted towards lot coverage are structures. So whether that's a main building or accessory buildings, those get counted towards structures. They do not include, that lot coverage calculation does not include parking lots or sidewalks or other impervious surfaces. This is the way that it's apparent through reviewing previous site plans for other churches and schools. Those parking areas and sidewalks were not covered in lot coverage calculations. So we're clarifying the ordinance and bringing it into compliance with how we've treated these non-residential uses in the past.
So did we look at that? Did we consider, I guess, having it be non-residential uses versus residential uses as opposed to districts? Because I wonder about some, we have like a mixed-use district, or we have sub-areas of things, or PDs where it's technically not zoned that underlying thing anymore.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It does. I think we would take those on a case-by-case basis, right? So if we had a plan development proposal come in for commercial, like our Lion Crossing or Lion Town Center, we'd consider that a commercial district. Obviously, most of our PDs are residential, so that's pretty clear. And even in the mixed use, that one truly is a mixed district, so I'd probably look at product at that point. But even then, it's more commercial.
Like the church example, I believe you could build a church in a residential district, but you could also build a church in a business district, and then you're giving them two different standards for what's the same product. Just something to think about.
We did look at that. The main rationale really is that our lot coverage standards are so low in our residential districts. They're 25%, 30% versus industrial and commercial districts are 60, 70% coverage, so they can accommodate those non-residential uses. That's really the reason that we chose to go by district rather than use. Next bullet point, reduce the minimum size to qualify for a planned development. Currently, it's 40 acres in size to qualify, and everybody comes to the Planning Commission and then they come to the board requesting a waiver to that, especially as our larger parcels are decreasing in number. The township, as far as Catherine and I could tell, have never denied the use of a PD mechanism on a smaller parcel. Instead, you're choosing to look at the design and the merit of the project when it comes to a concept and preliminary. And so lowering this to 10 acres, which is what we are proposing here, will, from a practical standpoint, it'll get rid of about 2 months worth of unknowns on the part of the developer, when really the township, we're not gaining anything by having to consider that waiver. So that's what we're doing there. Next bullet point is clarifying the site plan validity term. We want to say that the 12 months for a valid site plan starts on the day of Planning Commission approval. Right now there is not clarity in the ordinance as to when that 12 months starts. So we want to clarify that. We'll also at this time be providing feedback to an applicant as to when their project expires. So they're going to get a notice that says your plan was approved on such and such a date. It will expire on such and such a date. And then we don't have to, for lack of a better term, babysit them as they move towards that period of expiration. Next bullet point is updating our model home regulations. Patty hit on this during her report, but we want to clarify a couple things here. First being that model homes are not going to be able to be utilized to market for developments outside of that subdivision or outside of the township. And then the other piece is we need some trigger in the ordinance to get rid of a model home if it is overstaying its welcome. Right now, we do not have an enforceable mechanism, and so here we're tying it to when a certain amount of certificates of occupancy have been granted. That's when the model home needs to cease operation. And then finally, our nonconformity ordinance, we have some concerns as it sits with enforceability. It requires Dave to go out and document every nonconforming use or structure or anything that doesn't conform with our zoning ordinance. Dave is supposed to keep a running list of those things as they come up. It's not practical realistically to actually do that, and so we are providing some new standards in the ordinance to determine when a nonconformity exists that we can actually use and enforce when we need to. So that's the big picture overview. If you have any other questions or want any tweaks to language or anything like that, I'm happy to make those over the next month. But if you choose to move forward, this would be for both items D and E on your agenda. Tonight would be a first reading, and we can have those updates to you for your second reading. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, well, that was great. Thank you. And I can't wait to see who makes this motion.
I would actually, I will say at this point, I do not like the plan development section portion, and so I was hoping we could pull that one out separately from whatever Sean makes as a motion, so that I would not have to be inclined to vote no on all of these when that's the only one I don't agree with. So,
Okay, how
Sean,
do we do
when you
that?
make your motion, if you could take that one out.
Is there any way that you want to talk about that one to see if there's something that
Is
you
it the
like?
40 acres to 10? That's what you're talking
Yes.
about?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think that there's a significant opportunity if your project is only going to be 10 acres for you to have a significant benefit, community benefit to the township. So I'm not in favor of that one.
I'm not. I don't have a dog in this fight, but could I say that that just still leaves the opportunity for someone to still make that case? The whole purpose, in my mind, of the PD ordinance is the flexibility aspect of it. That's the whole, I guess, draw. And we're under no obligation to approve anyone's request, whether it's 40 acres, 10 acres, or 400 acres for a PD, unless we like the plan and we think there is a recognizable public benefit. So you still hold all the cards. You still have the ability to say, yeah, this is only 10 acres. Yes, it meets the minimum acreage, but this is a terrible plan and it's of no benefit to the community, so no.
That's the glory of the PD.
I would just say, because, I understand, to Brian's point, we let everybody move ahead and make their case. All this does is create an extra step, and they're still going to come and make their case. Even if they have 40 acres, they still have to make the case to get PD approval.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, can somebody do something significant as a benefit with 10 acres is the question, I guess.
Depends on
I
what
see
they're
your
doing.
point.
Possibly.
But we barely have, even with the larger pieces, we don't necessarily get a whole lot. So I don't know.
Well, we were looking at the 6 acres right here on the ring road.
But I'll say conversely, and I'm
I
not.
had $1 million to give them.
Yeah.
6 acres.
But if I would say the flip side of it, the developer is going to say, well, I'm only asking to develop 10 acres. How much do you think I should give you?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's all a math problem, I guess. And I don't mean dollars and cents. I mean, I guess figuring what the cost and benefit ratio is. So if they're only coming in with a 10-acre project, they probably don't need to give a comparable community benefit to the Irwin's project, for example. They're completely apples and oranges. So. Oh, I see what I did there. I didn't mean to do that. Wow. It's only 8:18.
So with the conceptual review one is the option. That's just taking it away from the planning commission. Would they still come to the board for a conceptual review?
It's taking it away from the planning commission, but that's all the ordinance allows right now. And separate this from PDs, which in PD you're still going to get a conceptual at planning commission and
so
the
it's
township board.
separate.
This is for a traditional site plan or somebody who's going to request a special land use or something like that. In the past 2 years, we've had more requests for those to come before the planning commission, because what they don't want is to go and spend a bunch of dollars on a site plan that they know isn't going to get passed. But my thinking is, for a permitted use, as long as they meet the ordinance standards, we should be approving that project. So if they have a permitted use, all they need to do is meet the ordinance standards, and they're going to get approved. And on a special use, we don't have enough information. We don't have the public hearing being held. We can't. It does them no good, whether they like it or not or know it or not. It does them no good to have our conceptual feedback in advance. So, but yeah, to your point, it's not taking anything away from what the board has right now, because there isn't a mechanism built into the ordinance for a concept review.
That was my confusion. Is the separated site plan only versus
Yeah, sorry.
plan-
So we're leaving the
plan
concept review in the plan
Got it.
development.
It still gives you the discretion on a complex plan that you'd like some feedback and direction on to still send them if they're willing to come to the Planning Commission Board for conceptual. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Sean, I think you made a pretty valid argument for the 10-acre, so I don't have a problem with that at this time. So when you do make the motion for all of these, you will not need to take that one portion out.
Well, I'm going to underwhelm you with my motion, but Brian, I appreciate putting all this together, because if we're not doing these housekeeping things, we just know there are nagging little issues or deficiencies or oversights that are out there that aren't being addressed. So once in a while, we need to do this. So, and it's not easy. So, and I appreciate the Planning Commission's work on it too. So with that said, I will make a motion that we move ordinance number 08-22 to second reading.
Nice.
I'll support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And because we've already talked about 10E with the memo that Brian just reviewed, I will make a motion that we move ordinance number 09-22 to second reading.
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Well, you disappoint me, Sean. I was waiting for a big
Want me to read
motion.
this whole thing?
No, I don't. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't think you could, Sean.
I think you're right.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of the agenda. Is there any more comments?
No.
See, no one wants to comment. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everybody.
8:21 p.m. Thank you.